What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fix It Friday. Today I'm going to be working on an old little miniature game. It's called Nintendo Mini Classics. It's a game called Zelda. It's actually pretty cool. If you've never heard of these things, please look them up, check them out. They're actually pretty cool. It's another little game that was licensed by Nintendo. I had found one at a thrift store and it was broken and it's basically split in two. So I'm going to take this thing apart, see what I can do to get it working, and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. A while back I actually bought this thing from a thrift store. Well, I was going to buy it, and then the cashier told me, you know, this is broken. And I was like, yeah, I know, I don't really mind. You want to give me a discount? And they said, you know what, you can just have it. And so the person working at the store just gave this thing to me. Now, it is broken pretty good. You can see the hinge has been separated. Somebody took this thing and really abused it and folded it too far back. And the part that I'm really worried about is the ribbon cable here has been pulled from the top screen. So anyway, I'm going to try and take this thing apart and see if I can't fix it somehow, some way. Let's see if I can get it working. Alright, let's take a closer look at some of these things. You can see here it says it's licensed by Nintendo. This is called a Nintendo Mini Classics. This game is a Zelda game. All right. Mini Classics from 1998. Nintendo, all rights reserved. Made in China, and there's a little reset button. And what is that? How do you say that? Stadelbauer? Stadelbauer? Is that how you say that? Anyway, let's take this thing apart. Alright, so the first thing I started doing in this video is I actually started loosening the screws on the back of the game. And then I remember before I took the screws out that I wanted to take pictures of this thing so that you guys can see what it looks like. And if you look in the center of the screen, the first picture I show you the screws on the back of the system that you need to remove. There's 4 screws in each one of the corners, as well as the battery cover screw. Alright. The next picture is a picture of the top screen. This has 2 screws underneath the outer screen cover, so be careful with that. The plastic's very brittle. And then this is a picture of the bottom, the front portion of the bottom half. There is nothing that needs to be done here at the moment. And basically what I do is I'm carefully trying to take the screws out. If you have one of these devices and you're trying to take it apart, be very careful. I'm doing this video to show you guys how to do this, and I do end up destroying some of the plastics on the upper screen because it is very brittle, and I couldn't find any videos or instructions on how to take this thing apart, so this is all going off of me just trying things out. Alright. Anyway, I hope this is helpful for you guys. If you try to fix one of these in the future, you don't make the same mistakes that I made. Once I had the 5 screws out of this thing, I go to take the clip off of the side, and I don't realize that it's a clamp. I do figure that out later when I go to put it back on, but it comes off when you separate the device anyway. Be careful when you pull the 2 halves apart because there is speaker wires attached to both halves, and the speaker is mounted to the plastic. So unless I wanted to unglue it from the plastic, then I was going to just keep the wires connected. Now, it did make it a little bit difficult to unscrew the screws on the motherboard, but all I did was I just pushed the back cover to the side to get to each one of the screws, and we'll talk more about that in a second. The picture you guys just saw was just of a picture to show you that the wires are connected, the motherboard to the back speaker. Alright, here you can see I just moved the back casing off to the side a little bit so that I can reach the screwdriver to the screws. The wires connected to the speaker were long enough to give you plenty of motion, so don't worry about that. Again, be very careful not to be too rough with the plastics, because you can break the screw terminals and then you won't be able to put this thing back together. So just be very careful when you're pulling it apart. Okay. There was one screw in the middle of the motherboard that the back casing couldn't move far enough out of the way to get to it. So what I did instead was I just moved the battery terminals to where they were over the screw, and then shoved the screwdriver through the battery terminal to unscrew it that way. And you'll see that in just a second. I'm looking at it right here. Originally I thought this was going to be the last screw, okay, because the other two that I find out later are a little bit hidden. But once I pull that screw out, I try to separate the motherboard from the front cover, and I find that it's getting some sort of resistance. And then it only takes me about a second to realize that there are two more screws underneath the top screen's ribbon cable. And there it is. And I'll take a picture of these for you guys, okay, just in a second. Let me get this ribbon cable out of the way and watch the center of the screen. You'll see a picture. There it is. You can see the two screws right there hidden underneath the ribbon cable. Make sure you get those out. Okay. Be very careful with your ribbon cables, because these are not soldered in place. If they come detached, they will not be reattached. Okay. That was one of the problems I found in trying to fix this device, is that I was trying to reconnect these to the screen, but there was no like plug where you plug it into. It was basically like a permanent contact, non-soldered. It was almost like stuck to it. Okay. And once you pull the ribbon apart from its contacts, it pulls the contacts off as well. So it basically breaks the contacts. Without getting a new ribbon cable, I wasn't actually able to replace it. And like I said before, I wasn't actually able to find any parts for this. So the rest of this video for the next minute or so is just me fiddling around with this thing, trying to figure out how to fix it and not being able to. Alright, stick around for a few minutes. I'll show you what my answer was, how I decided to finish this project after these clips. Alright, so long story short, after trying a bunch of things, it ended up not working. I ended up breaking plastics trying to get the top screen out, and so my final decision was to just get rid of the top screen altogether and just have the bottom screen. Alright you guys, so I wasn't actually able to reconnect the top screen. And that's because it was connected with this stuff. And this stuff, basically, it's contacted, and then it's not really soldered into place. And then once it's pulled apart, the connections are bad, and then it loses its contacts as well. Anyway, I tried to replace it, tried using different methods to re-put it back on the screen, but it just wasn't working. I was able to, however, was able to put this back together and get it working. Was able to put this screen, the bottom screen, back into position, and then put everything back together. I also removed pieces from the top here so it's more flat. And now the game is actually on and working. Let's give you guys a little bit of gameplay. There it is. Beat the first level. Alright, level 2. Oh, I died. Anyway, that's the game. Now at least it looks kind of decent. Alright. And it's another piece that I can add to my collection. Yes, it's not the full thing. It would have looked a lot better with the top half. And if I ever come across this game in future condition where it's the full game, I will definitely be picking it up. But just to have a working bottom half where I can still play the game is actually pretty cool. And it does have a little bit of nostalgia to it. Just that it says Nintendo and it's a Zelda game and it's working and playable as well. Good enough for me. Good enough to where I don't want to throw it out, actually. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you keep it? Set it on your shelf with all your other stuff, or would you throw it out? I kind of like it. I'm not going to throw this out. I'll probably take some stuff to put it over this to smooth it out later on sometime. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's pretty cool. Alright you guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And if you know anybody interested, please share the video or share the channel. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time.